next, reorganize the board. At our July meeting, we set officers and all that good stuff. I would like to, not put it right up. I mean, I would like to continue serving as the board chair, but that's up to the rest of the board.
Okay.
And at the pleasure of the rest of the board, I would like to continue as vice chair.
Okay.
I'm good.
I move to reorganize as you spoke about Perry and Craig to stay in the seats that you are in presently.
Okay,
Supported.
been moved and supported. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed, motion carried. We are going to, we'll talk about it right now. We are, if the board so chooses, in the near future, we will look at, defining the vice chair, more precisely, responsibilities and all that kind of stuff. If you go to our, the city charter, there, the only officer is there is not a vice chair. We, some time ago, appointed a vice chair to run meetings, et cetera, in the absence of the board chair. We've had some discussions, and it's up to the rest of the board to, thinking that we should, define that, and define that vice chair role and, put it in our handbook
Sure.
and that type of thing. So we're not gonna take that up tonight. But I think we should, everyone should be thinking about it, and then, we'll do that at a future meeting. Looking for approval of the agenda, there is one, change, on an action, to talk about the mural. And that will be action item D. With that change, I would entertain it, unless you have anything else. With that change, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda with the change, the amendment.
Supported.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Approval of the minutes, we have several of them. Looking to approve the June 9th, 2026 regular board meeting, and we'll do each one of these separately. So I would entertain a motion.
Yes, move to approve the June 9th, regular board meeting minutes.
Supported.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. The June 17th, 2026 special call board meeting of the open session. I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the June 17th special call board meeting open session minutes.
And supported.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And then the June 17th, 2026 special call board meeting closed session.
Move to approve those minutes as well.
And it is supported.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Safety moment.
I'm gonna hand it over to Casey for this one. All right, so, summertime, wanted to cover a few topics related to summer activities and summer weather.
So obviously sun protection, you're outside, sunscreen is obviously very important. We have some travel packet sunscreens if anybody wants to take some home with them, throw them in your golf bag. Or light or just,
What's the SPF on that?
well.
Do they vary or they?
I might want to see clear out there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be saying those have been there for a while. Yep.
Okay,
Check before I offer it.
sunscreen, very cool, thank
So
you.
there's sunscreen, yeah, obviously, most intense, time of the day is, around 3 PM, plus or minus a few hours, so, avoid, the middle of the day and the afternoon for sun exposure. Drink lots of water, even if you're not thirsty, that's a tough one, you're not used to doing that, and, yeah, do not drink a bunch of sugary drinks. Kidney stones are not fun. You ever had that? I mean, that's ultimately what sugar is.
The caffeine is the problem.
Okay,
Yeah, stick to water. Yeah, symptoms of dehydration, dizzy, being nauseous, blurred vision, headaches. Those are all signs of, get in the shade, drink lots of water. Being around bodies of water, life jackets are extremely important for any activity, whether it's shallow or deep water, especially with kids. It's very important. So whenever you're out boating, life jackets for everybody, and also rip currents if you're swimming in Lake Michigan. Red flag days. I know whenever we go on any sort of red flag day, keep the kids like waist deep or shallower. So,
okay,
yeah, just some good things to be aware of and proactively think about.
very good.
By the bottom of the wave or the top of the wave?
It can get pretty weighty out there.
So with the safety moment, I have a question for Zach. In these, like today, tomorrow, in these days, are we doing anything special with our linemen besides, I know you have water and everything else, but are we, unless it's, are we doing things inside where it's cooler? Are we, what are you doing to protect?
We're trying to stay out of rubber gloves in the afternoon for sure. And then we're just changing job scopes around. Instead of getting stuff ready first thing in the morning, we're getting it ready in the afternoon. So we're in here like the last hour or two of the day when it's hottest, instead of getting stuff ready in the morning. So that's the biggest thing we're doing.
That's pretty
Try to
cool.
stay out of rubber gloves and sleeves as much as possible in the afternoon.
Moving on, public comment. Any public? No comments? We'll move on to action items.
All right, first action item is the fiscal year 2026 write-offs for fiscal year ending 2025. And I will hand it over to Megan for this.
All right, well, you guys see this every year, so it should be nothing new. Our write-offs decreased this year compared to last year. No bankruptcies this year, so excited about that. And quantity, decrease as well, just to, well, stay the same, but in the, years it has decreased, so we're down to 2, which is amazing. All the credit goes to customer service, Hillary especially. She does such a great job just tracking down customers, getting them to pay, and yeah, clearly it shows. So this one's kind of just a formality at this point. But yeah, we recommend that you approve the write-offs.
Any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026 write-offs.
So moved.
Support it.
I heard Tina.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, motion carried. Purchase power commitment authorization.
So we talked power supply quite a bit. This is another fairly small piece of a diversified power supply management strategy. It's a single year bilateral capacity transaction that would provide 1.4 megawatts of capacity for the calendar year, highlighted in red, as you can, or inside the red box. Obviously, you see that 1.4 is longer than we need in winter, but the strips of capacity are not necessarily sold by season. It's pretty much a planning year. So you take it for the full planning year. You can see that 1.4 megawatts is just a small, about 20%, roughly, a little more, 20%, 25% of our open capacity position for summer, spring, or summer, fall. So it's just a piece of that. Happy to answer any questions. This is, we talked about capacity a lot with the potential generator expansion. We've highlighted the challenges with liquidity in the bilateral market with capacity transactions. So there's not a lot of opportunities. And this is just basically a small hedge against that open position starting in planning year 30. We are 30-31. Obviously, we're planning on filling that position with other strategies, but this was an opportunistic type of transaction where somebody, an entity approached MPPA, and the member group had asked MPPA to evaluate this opportunity as a hedge against that open position. The thought is, right now we're this is transacting at roughly $9 a kW a month. There is a little downside risk that if for some reason the capacity market becomes far more liquid in the next 4 years, this might look like we overpaid, but that's highly unlikely. So this is a very low downside risk. If everything comes to fruition and we fill that full 5.7 megawatts with other long-term resources, this is essentially just a hedge, and the arbitrage between the purchase and sale is, the delta is not anticipated to be financially detrimental while providing a little more financial stability. As the details are outlined in the purchase power commitment, but it's staff's recommendation to approve the purchase power commitment authorization contained in the board packet for planning year 30-31 capacity, not to exceed an amount of $151,200.
Charlie, where do you see the projection of where that's gonna come from in 2031? What's gonna make up that difference? What's coming online?
Oh, as far as this gap, a lot of it is tied up in there's other opportunities. I would say the biggest, but probably the highest degree of confidence is the behind the meter generation expansion that we're talking. Because there's not large scale power plants being built. Historically, there was always 3 to 4 retailers of market capacity. Because the other thing with this is a financially firm deal where, this capacity, who MPPA is buying this from, is selling capacity off of a known resource. If for some reason that resource doesn't get the capacity accreditation come 2030, 31, they are financially obligated to replace this commitment. So there's less and less forward liquidity in the actual capacity market, but a lot of that open position is really, from a timeline perspective, is most feasible to fill through the BTMG project. This just happened to be an opportunity that came around, which there's just not many of them, because right now, I think there's one. This is the only vendor selling financially firm forward capacity out 4 or 5 planning years. So it's just the market's become illiquid quickly. Other thing I want to bring up is you'll notice the year before, there's also some pretty big deficiencies. MPPA as an agency files are, so all members operate under NPPA's umbrella, and NPPA files the capacity demonstration for MISO collectively. And then we settle up intra-agency. So the anticipation, and a lot can change between now and then, is that we'll have the ability to fill that position through intra-agency transactions, because the agency as a whole will still be long through the 29-30 planning year. Members are obviously not interested in entering into financially firm contracts, or we wouldn't transact for capacity off of our units 4 years into the future, in case for some reason they don't receive the accreditation. So it's a lot of answers to a lot of different questions.
I appreciate it.
Can I ask one? Like, we're not that short in winter. We put 1.4 through the year, and we're slightly long in winter. We're selling that off.
Yeah.
To the market. How? Like, because going by season is kind of a relatively new thing that they've been doing. So it's always going to be like that, right? I mean, winter's always going to be the least capacity season.
Probably. Yes, there's a lot of moving pieces. You get a reduction in load. I think a lot of it's going to determine what renewable penetration does, because solar essentially is credited 0% capacity in the winter. So
that's
if we get
how people
market
will cover. I mean, like, because you're gonna, you're buying the strip that goes through the year, but like your capacity is something like this. So are people gonna constantly be like buying more capacity in the winter? In the winter, everyone's gonna be over some. Or is it just gonna be part of like how we have to think about?
I would say, broadly speaking, I would agree with you, Casey. The question becomes, do the markets evolve?
Yeah.
Right now,
that's my question.
Yeah, the structure right now is around capacity was always a year-long requirement. Resources you have to commit to a year. You can't commit a coal plant, which coal plant's a bad example. It's base load, but you can't really commit big units season by season. I expect any market participants to sell year round, and we're going to end up long in winter. And what those ramifications are, what that fallout is, to be determined. But yes, if you look at the value of capacity in the winter, it's by far the lowest value season.
The market's just flooded.
The market's saturated, I would say, and your planning reserve margins are also significantly lower for everybody. Like if you look at top numbers of planning reserve margin, so it drops over 20% from summer to winter. So that happens everywhere. The question is, how much does the grid evolve over time, and what's the saturation point of solar and some of these intermittent resources that could, which are why MISO went to a seasonal construct, is the seasonality of reliability, where it used to be you plan for the hottest day and the middle of summer, hottest day, that's what you need to have resources for. And as we were talking earlier, the planning around seasonality has changed, and most of the max gen events that have happened have not occurred because the system, as it was at peak load, it was a mismatch between supply and demand at that time. The January 24th event was not by any means close to a peak load, but there are just certain resources that weren't available, planning. So there's a really long position in the winter.
So summer, like wind, solar, battery backups will probably end up taking a large, maybe being part of what evens out.
So the rules are always changing. So to know what, it's one of the things that we look at MPPA is, what are those regulatory risks? What in the regulatory construct, like they're getting ready to roll out an accreditation model called the ELCC, right? Effective load carrying capacity, which is going to change how it's going to look at the marginal value of the next resource, not just a class average. You put on more resources that are constantly going to produce energy very similar to a whole other subset of resources. that next one marginally is worth less. And it's, so that's just an example of how the capacity rules are gonna change. And they change Casey, seems like about every 2 years.
Yeah,
And they're constant, and they're trying to adapt to the evolutions in the markets. They're trying to adapt to the seasonality, to the fact that a lot of max gen events happen in cold weather.
Sure.
So it's their efforts to constantly tweak and hone in on what's the most appropriate way to structure a capacity market.
I'd also say like, MPPA's done a really good job at diversification of our power supply. So, we have solar, we have wind, we have thermal resources, we have our own generation. We have bilateral, year-long strips of capacity. So I've done a really good job at kind of layering in all these different resources, and they all have different pros and different cons. And I would also say with like seasonally, some you're gonna win, some you're gonna lose, but the goal is on an annual basis, your highs and lows will kind of counteract each other, right? So you're trying to like balance out all these different power supplies with our town's load. And just changing the rules, so some seasons we're gonna be long, some seasons we're gonna be short. It's just the best way to kind of hedge against too much risk concentration is just diversification.
Sure.
And there's no one resource solves all problems. Well, nuclear, but
Yeah.
I mean, but you're always trying to adapt to this moving target.
You asked a loaded question.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
I know. I
Well,
know.
the other piece of that, and I think you highlighted, is you have to look at what's your biggest risk. Our biggest risk is the value of capacity in the summer. If we can solve for a long position, or if we can solve to meet our summer need, that's our primary focus, because that's gonna be the highest value.
Yeah.
Odds are that results in long positions most of the other seasons.
Yeah.
And so you just
Some of
run
that
in,
sell off.
yeah, so you just,
consider it in the overall price because you're going.
yeah, you'd
not
rather,
very high, but it's.
yeah, you can,
Sometimes we're gonna be selling this, but we really, when we, instead of buying it in the summer where it's, $20, whatever, something crazy. Like, we get it for 9 here, sell it for 5 here. So it helps. Yeah.
and that's,
I mean, it's just like, it makes it really complex to think about the pricing
yeah,
instead of just like a straight number, the way it used to be when it's like, this is what you need for the year. Get to 12.2, whatever, whatever your biggest day was.
yeah, and there's other complexities in the capacity market. It's also why if you look throughout the country at capacity markets in different RTOs, there are some RTOs that don't have any capacity, energy only. So I don't want to say it's a newer concept, but I think as the grid and the industry goes through this evolution, resource evolution, it's something that every market will have to have, and some will do it better than others. Right now, PJM, if you read the news, nobody is talking about the effectiveness of PJM's capacity markets. And you have governors talking about states leaving PJM. And so, I mean, it's not, there's not, hey, this is industry best practice, or hey, you should do it this way. So there's a lot of figuring things out and implement something, see how the market reacts, implement something, see how the market reacts. It's incredibly complex. And you listen to the MPPA subject matter experts that dig into it, you realize that we're just scratching the surface when you really get into how the planning reserve margins are calculated and what the 1 in 10 year events are. And there's just a lot of, it's an incredibly complicated thing, which makes sense. You're trying to balance something that has to be generated and consumed in real time across a giant geographic footprint. And it has to work.
Yeah.
It has to work
No matter
87,
the
60
weather,
hours out of the year.
yeah.
So, yes, I don't know if we ever actually answered your question.
I mean, I just, yeah, I just kind of, I don't know, when you brought it up and you said the strip, I just started kind of going, okay. So, yeah, I mean, I figured that things were still gonna keep evolving in it. I knew that they were continuously tweaking.
The other thing is interesting is to watch how this graph, the same timeframes have changed over time. As rules change, as plan reserve margin requirements change, this is very much a projection.
Yeah, 2 years from now, it might, that 5.7 might be 5.9 or might be 5.4, just
Could
based
be-
on how they
It could
calculate,
be
right?
two.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I doubt that. I mean, if we get one more expansion from, like, if you look at before we had a large industrial expansion, after we had a large industrial expansion, our planning piece changed overnight with one customer implementing over a megawatt worth of load expansion that our load growth tends to be lumpy. 10% 1 year, flat for 3. 10% flat. It makes it really difficult to time the needs in the future. So
Sure. A lot of moving parts.
pretty much, yeah, it's truly just a lot of moving parts in capacity markets.
Okay,
Sorry.
I would
It's fine. Don't worry.
I would entertain a motion to approve the purchase power commitment authorization.
So moved.
And supported.
It's been moved, and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Board chairperson authorization to execute GM employment agreement amendment. So having a lawyer write everything up that we agreed on at our last meeting. And this is just, it's just a formality to execute that agreement. And so therefore, we would like the board to approve this. And then it just speeds up the process. Then we don't have to, when it's all done, we don't have to wait for another board meeting to come back and sign it. And then we're having to, then somebody's having to deal with back payments and adjusting and all that kind of stuff. So this just makes it, it's a formality that just allows us to move forward.
Yep. So I'll make a motion to appoint the board chairperson authorization to execute GM employment agreement amendment.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. D, mural. Again, we're having the mural. And again, what I would like to propose is that we approve the general manager to execute the contract for this mural.
Yes, I can provide just a little background. Here's the design. Obviously, I think I've shared it. It's been around. It's been floating around. I think we shared it kind of offline, so it wasn't a public meeting, but this is the design that was selected. And essentially, there's just a couple agreements that our attorney needs to review. One of them is an agreement with the artist. One of them is an agreement with Lowell Arts. And essentially, it's just going to outline responsibilities and long-term responsibilities, what our obligations are. We'll have to let, Lowell Arts know if there's any damage. It's a very basic contract, but we do want to make sure they're executed. A couple of other updates, looking to start, the artist is looking to paint this and starting in the middle of August. It'll be a fairly quick process. And I also learned that the painting is a forced perspective painting. So it's designed to look at from like a 45-degree angle. And if you stand in the right spot, it will have like a 3-dimensional type of element. Forced perspective. I don't know. I'm not an artist person. I know forced perspective is pretty cool.
Sounds cool.
It sounds cool.
So like while you're driving by, like you thought, like.
Yeah, you
thought, like,
drive by.
In the rear view if you're driving the right way down.
Oh, that's true.
So
So about half the people that drive down that road will get to see it while they're driving. But wanted to share the update, and again, don't want to hold up the artist, don't want to hold up Lowell Arts. I know the board wanted to make sure there was nothing that could be deemed potentially offensive or anything like that. I think that they did a great job selecting something that, what the connection is to us, I'm not gonna be an interest, but I think it looks really cool. I love the idea that they were able to include low light power established 1896 at the top. There was some question about whether or not it would be subject to the city sign ordinance and potentially take up too much space, because I think that's happened some other. It all got worked out, and it can be painted just like this. So yeah, like Perry said, just looking for authorization to execute the final agreements, pending legal review. Yes.
I'm just curious. Okay.
Does not look like English.
I feel like we should tell them what we want.
I think so too.
It's like AI generated lettering, because it's like, it's almost.
Probably.
I mean, that's a G, that's a
Yeah,
B.
this is a more computer generated graphic. I have some other, curious at the other picture. I think it's,
No, the colors are pretty good, it stands out, it's just kind of like the brick and.
I like the whole concept. Just the rusty industrial look with this sort of like, what the heck is this new thing in the middle?
And maybe
Just
just
sort
kind
of
of
mysterious
mysterious.
technology, but looks powerful, right?
yeah, that's kind of what I
But
I don't
I just love that concept. So.
and I think it's kind of neat, in my opinion, just my opinion, doesn't really matter. We're not art critics here. It kind of brings in the old of the old, especially with the being able to put the established 1896. I thought it was cool, but very old, reminds me of the old engine room. I never got to see the old engine room with engines in it. Plus kind of something that looks very futuristic.
Yeah, well, I mean, the actual description you would give this type of artwork is actually steampunk. That is,
Yeah, very, very steampunk like. But again, like I said, there's an agreement, there's a wall use agreement between us and Bull Arts, and then there's an owner artist agreement. So our building with the artist. Again, I just got them yesterday. I'm bringing it today because I don't want to hold up the artist for another 30 days. If the board's
We
comfortable,
don't want that.
which again, we've talked about it enough that,
Okay, we talked about it enough.
I'll make a motion for the general manager to execute any legal documents regarding the mural at Lowell Light and Power.
Also work.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Informational items.
Say that's what you work on.
we're not gonna talk about this. No, I'm gonna roll fairly quick through informational items. We're at the end of the year. If you have any questions on sales, the one thing I did want to jump to was annual sales. This is something that we added a couple years ago to give an end of year kind of summary of where we're at. It is what it is. Over time, we've seen quite a bit of load growth. Very little load growth over the last year to this year, but still load growth. And here's our annual requirements. We're ticked up over 90,000 megawatt hours for the year too. But that's all I had on that. Price kilowatt hour. Saw some downward pressure this month which was nice. Getting into cash again, we're at the end of the year, and there's a lot of things that move as far as part of the audit, but we're looking at finishing the year in a great spot from a cash standpoint. And then we get down to the PCA, which I like to highlight, and we saw more upward pressure on the PCA, which is very much, I guess, to be expected through the through the summer, we're catching our transmission charges, and we catch a lot more summer charges. So to be expected, but definitely higher than we would care for it to be. And that is it for performance data. Zach, I'll take away the outage stuff.
Yeah, we had 5 outages this month. Yeah, one was a swirl on Lake Road, swirl on Overly, had a swirl on G Drive, swirl on Main. And then
So I gotta talk to my mother.
Yeah.
a thunderstorm blow through, and kind of had 3 separate tree outages with that. And then we had a random tree outage. I know. One thing that's not on here is substation blink. The
You got kind of an very interesting video. In the video, I think you can see the lightning strike that.
yeah,
Speed of light is
Yeah.
speed of electricity, so let me know if you want me to narrate it.
No.
Boom, boom, yeah, there's the bulb that hit the transmission line, not, I don't think it was our side,
no,
it was north,
the main line.
We have somewhere on the main line.
but that's our emergency generator turned on.
Yay.
There are building lights,
That makes sense. I watched this and meant to ask you.
yep, and that's the transmission line coming back on.
Wow.
Yeah, so blink the whole town. Just so we're aware, one of the things that we've not experienced this since in the last 6 years, since I've been here, so I've not experienced it. We wanted to make sure we documented the outage correctly. Your SAIDI, SAFE, Katie, ASAI, those are all measurements of sustained interruptions. And a sustained interruption is typical by IEEE is classified as 5 minutes. Some states have pinched that down to 1 minute. But essentially that blink does not count against our outage metrics, except for our MAFI, the momentary interruption one, which we've never really reported on because we don't tend to have momentary interruptions with the type of equipment that we have on our system. The only momentary interruptions when a full breaker blinks, because we don't have reclosing equipment out on the distribution system where a lot of utilities have reclosers and you can get blink counts and you get your lights flickering a lot. We just don't have that type of equipment here.
Yeah, the total duration of that was 20 seconds.
That's it.
20 seconds, yeah.
It couldn't have happened at a better time. It was 1:30 a.m. on Sunday morning. Right?
I don't remember. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday morning.
Was it Sunday morning? I couldn't remember what day it was.
So,
I'm trying to throw my phone, so.
Yeah, you get 3,000 emails
yeah.
over the course of 5 or 6 hours. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the video was great.
Very cool.
All right, we'll roll on to income statement. This is the last income statement of the year. A lot moves. From a lot of reversing and what do you guys call it?
Adjusting.
Adjusting and reversing entries. We'll adjust things. We'll have the GASB entry hit. We'll have the OPEB entry hit. There's a lot of things that change between now and the audited financials. Broadly speaking, we're sitting in a very healthy position that we actually, with how much money we're putting aside and surplus payments to MERS, you don't really know predict the GASB entry to be, but it may be the credit.
I wouldn't say that.
It may be.
It may be, but
I'm not worried if it's a credit or a debit. Where we're sitting in a really good spot where, with a positive net income of $960,000, we can absorb, we can absorb something if we get a substantial hit, the GASB entry, but we don't anticipate it. And if we did, it'd be a non-cash hit anyways. We're preparing and planning for funding the pension, and that's something that we'll review in an upcoming meeting. We got our actuary, so nothing to be concerned with in the income statement. Left a little bit of skin on the table with the the capital budget, but want to commend Zach and the guys and everybody for everything they did to keep the capital budget as lined up as possible as they could this year. The undergrounding project, obviously, we talked about that, the little G drive, that's been pushed out to this year. But we were able to accomplish a lot of work this year. You can see we were able to reallocate quite a bit of that $300,000 into capital equipment, voltage conversion, some facility improvements, and the minor cap projects. So we were able to reallocate a lot of that work that was going to get delayed a year, but left a little bit of skin on the table this year. But overall, I'd say we got closer to completing our capital plans this year than we have in a few previous years, with quite a bit more challenges this year, especially with the winter weather and some mutual aid events that we responded to. And with that, I'll hand it over to Zach for distribution report.
Yeah, the ultra capacitors, we used our little ultra capacitor route, whatever you want to call it, for mats, and did a bunch of them. Had 116 replaced in pretty much a day. So that was a pretty good day of that. That route really helped a lot. Even though the system blinked, not all the meters responded to that point. So that does not mean we know all the capacitors are bad. So even though there's 472 remaining, there's probably a lot more out there. So
yeah,
keep that in mind.
And we're not only that, we're having a lot of conversations around what's a long-term strategy to address this. We don't have any answers yet. This was something that I don't think Eaton or anybody else projected or forecasted when these things came out. So it's not a unique problem to Lowell. Sturgis has the same system, has the same problem, and we collaborate with them and work with them on and anybody that's willing to figure out how to address this.
They're doing the same thing.
Yeah, they're doing all. They've got the same. They have the same AMI system as us. So that the AMI system, that last gasp type of communication is through that ultra capacitor. So the AMI, anybody that has the AMI technology, just that meter has that same problem.
One other thing, Boda brush hog for the track unit. That thing's amazing. And we've been using it a lot, and it, of course, does an amazing job. We've had numerous customers come up to us and say how great it looks, and we've literally only been using it 2 weeks. So 2-3 weeks. It is that is a savior. Like out here on we have Center Street, we had to hang a gang switch in the behind what it was, Lowell or whatever it used to be, or whatever it is now. And it's a big grass field. Well, the grass is like 5-6 feet tall. So we went back there with the brush hog the whole thing. Now we got a place to work and not really worry about ticks getting on us and stuff like that. So that was pretty awesome. And then we've done a little bit of tree trimming places that we've just cut. And it is so nice to not have to deal with this little brush and stuff in your way. And it just makes life much easier for all the guys and myself. So.
And one thing I'll add is Zach and I are talking about how it's changing the needs of our fleet a little bit. It's a bigger piece of equipment. It can be pulled feasibly with the 2500s that we have, but the frequency that it's being used, the plowing needs that we have, we're evaluating potentially buying another. Yeah, I didn't talk to you about this. Just give me a book. We're talking about, a couple of things. We're talking about needing, when we replace the snowplow truck, replace it with a bigger truck, more. Yeah, a 350 probably. They're all 2500s now. We go up to the 3500 probably. I don't think we need to go here.
We don't need to go higher than that.
Yeah, but it's one that, and then we're also looking at Zach's to help with project efficiencies, things like that. Zach's splitting the crews up quite a bit more. So nothing's been decided, but I wanted to prime the pump a little bit. We could be coming back to the board requesting purchase of a new truck and expanding the fleet by one vehicle.
Ooh.
These were late as at the time.
You tell me that before the board, meeting, okay?
I'm just priming the pump. I just want to say that we're starting to see these. We're starting to see these. We're looking at how do we, it's not something we do lightly is add equipment. So, some of it's going to be our replacement strategy and making sure we replace something. There's a lot of miscellaneous vehicle needs. Casey goes to Grand Rapids regularly to drop oil samples off, recycle equipment. There's people that get shuffled. Zach's been driving because he's splitting the crews up a little bit more. He's been in his personal truck, and obviously we don't want him having to drive his personal truck around representing Light and Power. It's not what we want. That's not the look that we're going for. It doesn't scream credibility when Zach's trying to get out of a personal vehicle. So that would be the driver. But we're a pretty good ways away from making that recommendation. But just want to say, that we're constantly evaluating these things. We don't shoot from the hip and say, boom, we got a new piece of equipment. We need a new truck. We're going to see what fits, what doesn't fit, and where the use cases are. If we add a fleet, there needs to be quite a bit of use cases, or add a vehicle to the fleet. There needs to be some use cases. Nowhere close to making that recommendation, but I sure don't want the board to first hear it when we bring a recommendation to the board. So just want to say we're looking at it. The equipment is amazing. We want to maximize the use. So it's not just new equipment, it's how we're utilizing our staff to maximize the value of the equipment that is partially driving a potential need to evaluate our fleet a little bit. So quite frankly, it was not foreseen when we went into it, but it's also the culmination of a lot of discussions and strategic execution on some goals that really driving efficiency.
Chime in. I don't know if you were out on, if the trimming you were doing out on was Casey Rose or not, but I was with a customer personally for not, obviously they're a low light and power customer, but a customer of mine. And she couldn't say enough good things that you guys had come to her, told her what you were gonna do, and it was like, yeah, do it. And you don't need to keep coming back to me every time, but they truly appreciated the communications and how you guys, she couldn't say enough great things about low light and power.
Yeah. So one last thing, me, Steve, and Paul went down to
Sturgis.
Yes, Sturgis for 5 days or so. That storm had more limbs on the ground than, oh my goodness. I've seen tornadoes with half as many limbs on the ground. And the weird thing was driving down there was not a leap out of place till we hit Sturgis. And then driving through Sturgis is wrecked, literally 2 miles outside of Sturgis, nothing. It was the wildest little storm I've ever seen, and there were limbs everywhere. So they got wrecked.
I think that's the third time in recent times that we've sent crews to Sturgis.
Yeah.
So when you were doing that, were you putting up, repairing lines and everything, or were you dealing with, my question is, so did you take the brush hog, the new forestry thing down there and?
Wouldn't have helped you. That would definitely have not helped at all.
Okay.
All line work restoration.
It was all line work stuff, but it was, our brush hog can't. Yeah, there's trees. Half the tree went out there.
Yeah, bring the wood chip.
It was unreal. How just massive trees. An entire forest is just snapped off halfway up. So it was wild.
All right.
Thank you for going now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Zach's got some funny stories from that trip. Yeah, if you're curious, you can rake a concrete sidewalk. Cool. Casey.
Sorry. Yeah, so we operated the generators. This past month. It was during, July 2nd when we had, wave, similar to what we have now. Everything ran great. We had a good profitable run. When we operate, it wasn't mandated, in any way by MISO, but we kind of foresaw some highly elevated prices of electric energy. And last time we ran was in April, so we've been looking for an opportunity to exercise the equipment. So yeah, now is a good time. We're likely going to get some good prices, and we hit some good prices. They were all profitable hours that we operated, so that was great, and everything ran really well. So it was a good operation. This month we have a meeting set up with MPPA for behind the meter generation project. They've gone through their analysis to look at what resource is the best fit resource for multiple members' locations, and we will be discussing that in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and I'll roll kind of there, we roll into G as well, which is the behind the meter generation outside of what Casey has, really the next big step for the participating members. And Casey and I have a follow up with MPPA, and then we'll go to Lansing for a group meeting of all the participating communities and trying to hone in on what an appropriate ownership structure is going to look like. It's a delicate balance trying to leverage the benefits of joint action while also respecting the wishes of each individual community. So local control is important, but joint action is important. So it's just a tough confluence sometimes. But we're going to go, and that's really the next big hurdle, is getting that ownership structure ironed out with the participating members. As Casey said, their MPPA is working on their economic and dispatch models. They are going to, tomorrow, they're requesting a slight amount more money to continue deeper dive into some of the dispatch and economic models, which I don't anticipate any issues out of the board. But as we mentioned last month, we want to keep this item in the informational item just to make sure we're having a monthly touch point. There's not much to report on this month, but did want to report that the project's moving forward, and that we keep trucking along, but we'll keep giving the board updates on a monthly basis. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you.
Megan.
Right. So just wanted to touch on NISC. So Julie and I have been really busy the last month with them, and then we had a meeting today where we actually got the software installed on my computer, so we can kind of start actually playing around in there. They have our data loaded in, and we're going to work to get it installed on other computers as well. So we're excited about that, to finally kind of get in there and use it, test it. And then we have another business analysis meeting next week, where a couple other NISC employees will come and walk through all of our service side of things. So the customer side of things, the billing, all of that. So excited about that. And then, just wanted to highlight PowerFest. We're starting the planning for that. We're really excited. It's gonna be great. We got some new things this year that we didn't do last time. So really excited. That's gonna take up a lot of the office's time over the next couple months. So
Please put it in your calendars.
yes.
September 23rd, 5 to 7 here. First one was a tremendous success, and we're trying to go bigger because it's our 130th anniversary this year. So it'd be great to have as many board members there as possible. Board and staff. Hopefully everybody can make it.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right,
Energy rebates starting to go out.
yes. They,
The first of them.
no, there's been some more, there's been some others. There's quite a few projects going on. The car wash was one that I think kind of surprised everybody, just how much savings and how big the incentive check was. Yeah, it's our cap. We cap rebates at $10,000. It's all based on deemed savings as far as value, kilowatt hour savings in the program. Yeah, so there are, we've got some other big checks that have gone out. So yeah, we're moving along. I need to touch base with Lisa. She's coming back off of maternity leave to see kind of where we're at halfway through the year, but some of the seeds that were planted earlier in the year between Lisa and Franklin are starting to blossom, and we're seeing checks go out, not just ideas come in.
So is there a promotion, not promotion, but public awareness or what, again, so I get the 4-month thing, we wash our cars at, and everything, and again, knew nothing about it until I read this,
Yeah.
this blurb here. Is there means to get the word out? I mean, is it something that we want to promote what Lowell, the partnership with Lowell Light and Power, whether it's the Ledger, Lowell's First Look, those types of things?
We do that frequently. We've got a big check, and we do big check type of pictures. And this one, with everything going on in the office and Lisa coming back, we didn't do anything for this one. But yeah, most of the time we try to do promotional type of stuff. Our biggest, I guess, focus is hitting the people that are interested or have the potential to receive some of the money back, just like we did the business breakfast, this type of thing. But we're seeing, as far as promoting the entire program, we're seeing far better results. I guess I would say we're seeing results from changes in how we promote the overall program. So there's kind of two promotional items there. We're trying to leverage both of them. All right. Couple things. I'll just highlight that, as I've mentioned, Pat has announced his retirement, and that's a pretty heavy lift, and something that's very important. Working through the hiring process to find his successor. APPA, I was able to attend the national conference in Boston this year. I did present with Don Lund from UFS and Paul Jakubczak from Coldwater. We presented on communicating rate increases to public officials and customers. Apparently it went well. I thought it was fun. There's about 200 people in the room or so. And apparently we've been asked to play it back a couple times with some different groups. So we may seem to go well. So we'll see. I was happy to do it. I enjoy it. We partner with UFS on a lot, and it's nice to be able to help them. Want to highlight from a safety update, we did provide our notice to the Michigan Electric Co-op Association, MECA, indicating that we do not intend to renew our contract with them. I only bring this up because it's been a multi-year initiative to develop a more comprehensive safety program that reached into all aspects of the company a little more efficiently. Zach's done a great job leading those efforts up, and our partnership, we've already signed an agreement with Alpha Omega to provide safety services. So we're just in that transition period right now. Collective bargaining agreement for that special meeting, we are in the process of finalizing, codifying all of those changes, and we've seen some drafts and are just kind of going back and forth, knocking those out. Wanted to provide an update on Leo. Rates were updated. Rates have to sit for 30 days. before they become effective. So the bills that go out at the end of this month will reflect the updated Leo charge that the board adopted at the special call meeting. NISC, I just wanted to highlight the amount of work that Julie and Megan were putting into this. It's a heavy lift. We will deal with more. There's a title that they have called implementation project managers. It's the person who heads up different pieces of the implementation. We will deal with more implementation project managers than we have employees, which just gives you an idea of the breadth of the project. We were on one call with an IPM today, left that call. No, those are major entities, which I guess Dylan or Joe is an IPM. We left one call to hop on another call with a different IPM. And in between those two meetings, we got an email from a third IPM wanting to talk about another piece. I genuinely cannot stress enough the amount of work that's going into this conversion. We don't have a huge team to do it. Normally, the utility side is paired up almost 1-to-1 with implementation project managers. Casey gets to be involved from a tech standpoint, but the vast majority of the implementation is Julie and Megan working through what normally would be done by 20 different people. And that's not an exaggeration. So cannot stress how big of a lift this is. So if you question over the course of the year, hey, what's getting done? I can tell you what's getting done. It's most likely NISC, but it's also foundational for generations. And in the process, there's an evaluation of how everything works. You don't convert something that's broken, you fix it. So it's not just a, hey, how do we get this from here to here? It's how do we do it the best way possible? So these changes that are being implemented truly set the groundwork for generations of success. So they're not going to tell you how big of a lift it is, but I will. Customer survey. We are working with Great Blue Research to get a presentation in front of the board to discuss the results of the survey. I've mentioned there's some very interesting results, very favorable results. I think we're starting to see some of the national landscape creep in locally. It's just my initial takeaway, but more to come on that. But wanted to let the board know that was wrapped up and that we're in a great spot. RP3, we got a ton of stuff. RP3, I know Perry, you always ask, are we on top of RP3? Absolutely. I'd say this year, I'll let the other people involved in previous years chime in, but I want to say that this year has gone incredibly smooth. It's just a matter of collecting things we're already doing. Very little updating. There's a few triggers to say, hey, we need to meet on this, but the application evolves every year, and very confident that we're going to feel good about our final submission when it's all said and done. But there will be no issues submitting prior to the deadline. We will have our RP3 application made well ahead of that and expecting favorable outcome this year. Fall conference agendas in your board packet. If you'd like to attend, please let me know. It's not till September, but it's down at Firekeepers at Battle Creek. And then lastly, want to recognize Lisa, who celebrated her 5th work anniversary with us.
5 years already.
Yeah, which is it's crazy. We're quickly amassing quite an impressive list of experience in the office. And the outcomes really reflect the growth and experience. So we've got a really awesome team, and want to thank Lisa for everything that she does. And then lastly, we've got the agenda, and then Alyssa really picked a great picture. Couple great pictures of me. Love it. We did safety count again this year. This year was we were the first people to go, and by Thursday, the kids have it figured out far more than they had figured out on day one. by far the most chaotic day we've ever had there, but so much fun. Enjoy it. Kids love it. Yeah, great time. And then here's some mutual aid pictures
Ugh.
from Sturgis. Why was there an airplane fuselage in a driveway?
Oh, we just drove by it.
I mean, you just took a picture. That was one heck of a storm. It ripped the doors, the wings, and landed it right in somebody's driveway.
Yeah, that was when we finally let's go to the nice part of town.
And then here's some pictures of the wine cleaners.
That's back there behind,
Route behind Route Lowell, kind of that line that runs behind Route Lowell and jumps over to like Laurel's of Kent. Oh yeah, right here. So that thing is,
it's a beast.
we knew it was going to be a great piece of equipment. I think it's exceeded our expectations.
Now, is it different than the forestry mulcher thing?
Way different, yeah, these are plates, these are, so this is a giant disc
Right,
that has carbide teeth coming down, and then on 4 spots on the outside, it has a 1.5 foot blade that's pendulates.
right,
So that's what that is, and then like a fortune mulch cylinder with a bunch of carbide teeth on
Right.
it that are this way instead of flat. And the problem with a forestry mulcher is that right there, it wouldn't do much to that.
right.
It just, the grass gets in all the grooves that it's not in. And this has taken down some pretty large trees that it's done quite well.
It's been impressive.
It'll take,
3-4 inches.
I mean, we've taken 5-6 down to the ground.
Okay, well,
And it's done pretty well.
It's been, Zach's, I've got to give me an excuse to get out and check out the right of ways a little bit. I've done some ride arounds. It's impressive. If you see an area that looks well mowed, it's probably,
I mean, Alden Nash is great. If you go up to Alden Nash by the high school there,
yeah.
it almost looks like the county did it
Yeah.
with theirs. I mean, it
Wow.
looks very well.
Very good.
I've been very happy with the results.
Yeah.
And we've been able to get to areas of the transmission line that
Yeah.
haven't been touched in them. Yeah. So,
Kind of by the end.
Sure.
Yeah.
Charlie, one thing I see in the customer survey, when you get that done and present it to the board, would you be willing to come to the city council and also give that information regarding? the
I
survey?
would love to make my day be fun.
Yep, I'd love to have you.
Absolutely. But that is, monthly pictures, manager report, and back to you, Perry, for scheduled meetings.
Okay.
What's on there?
There is no meeting July 20th for city council, FYI, it's been canceled.
Okay.
Thank you.
So all of July's been canceled.
Yes, sir.
Did they have the planning commission last night?
Yes, they did. It was not attended by a lot of people. The township is local.
So our next regular board meeting will be August 18th.
Sorry, and I just want to draw attention, that is later than normal. This is the one meeting that does not follow the Tuesday following the second Monday. Casey and I are going to be in Marquette for the MPPA board meeting the normal week. So just so you're aware, packet will come out a week later, and if you show up on that second Tuesday, you can hang out by yourself, but you're probably going to be outside the gate.
Yeah.
Okay, board comment. Tina, you're up first.
Okay. The NISC project that everyone's working on, I couldn't imagine what doing this handoff and this, like what you brought to attention is that why would you guys do this flip if something was broken? Why flip something that this is broken, but we're just gonna pass it on and we'll just work on it later? That's super tough. And wow, I'm glad I'm not on at that table doing that. That video is super cool. I think we should put it on Facebook because That's,
So
wow.
not- Can I just make a request not to put a video of the lights going out?
That was just so.
I'm a big fan of them coming back on. The going out part makes me
Yeah.
nervous.
Wait for it, wait.
It's kind of like scary. Ooh.
It's dark.
And the write-offs for 2025, bravo, that's huge. What you ladies were able to get that down to, you and Julie. And I love that that there was 4 squirrels and only 2 trees on the outage report. And other than that, I just want to say thank you again for being a cool collective group of people that work for Lowell Light and Power. I appreciate you guys. That's it.
Daniel, we're switching up. We're going back and forth.
I was gonna say, I just wrote down a wrong name. It's like, usually I'm a coach.
Yeah, I mean, as always, it's nice to see the debt write-off tiny. Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks and good work on the Sturgis, and I'm heading down there and helping them out. The mutual aid it's a cool thing. When I'm out and I tell people that I'm involved with the light and power, and I tell people about mutual aid, things like that, and to see where they're from. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Colbart. Oh yeah, okay, we went down. You have things to talk to them about, and they're like, "What? You're like, yeah, it's pretty. It's a pretty cool, like, community building kind of thing that we get to do." So, yeah, just want to say I appreciate that.
Andrew,
Yes, I'll have no comment today.
Craig,
Congratulations to Lisa on year 5. All my best wishes to you in the office implementing the new software. I've done many of these things in my life, and I know how arduous it can be. So, yeah, my best thoughts are with all of you. Also, it was brought to my attention. How shall I say? It's interesting how people can perceive things and how unexpected that can be sometimes. But I do want to say this. I unequivocally support our general manager, Charlie West, in the decisions and priorities that he has to make for this utility. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well said.
okay? Charlie, you had, you wanted to.
Yep. Sorry, not a board member, but just want to bring something to the board's attention that Daniel's brought it up to me. But I wanted to highlight a change a little bit in the benevolence process. Few, don't know how many years ago at this point, the board, we had a benevolence policy that was just underutilized. It was not being utilized as the funds were allocated. So the board adopted some changes that authorized me to execute on more benevolence requests with certain parameters and good guardrails in there. But I just wanted to draw attention to this list of the organizations that we were able to financially support this year, and the diversity of those groups. It's everything from high school athletics, both boys and girls, youth sports, the arts, the museum, great things like Pink Arrow, local organizations like the YMCA. Alpha Care's not on here. Did we not do an Alpha Care sponsorship this year? But
They're one of the races, aren't they?
I think so. I don't remember which one they are, but just a ton. I really just wanted to draw attention to the fact that the board adopted some policy changes so that this program, so that it was easier for the community to access the money. It was easier for us to support things that are important to supporting the community. And quite frankly, I think we've executed on it fairly well. There's certain things that we didn't have to say no to anybody, but the awareness around our benevolence is definitely growing. And just, selfishly, it's great PR. It's a double-edged sword. We're supporting great organizations for kids, great organizations for STEM, which doesn't even include what we provide for the robotics team. But it's really diverse in where our support is. And that's something that I'm pretty proud of, that the group it's really turned into a team effort as different opportunities come across people's tables or desks or emails. But just want to take a minute and thank the board for giving me that flexibility. And I hope that we've executed on that flexibility that you provided us to advance the goals of what we're hoping to accomplish with that. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have much. I already mentioned the customers. That was the one thing I jotted down. I will say September, start to prime the pump, but September 18th will be the Pink Arrow. That's a Friday. That'll be the culmination of the Pink Arrow. I know that Meadowview Farms will be doing polo and pink August 30th, I believe. And then it's, the volleyball team, soccer team, everything that will be playing up to that football game. Yeah, congratulations to the office, congratulations to the line workers. In these times of when you watch too much news and you see what's going on in the world, it's very humbling and to be back here in Lowell and see what Lowell Light Power is doing, how they're working with communities and doing things right. I guess is the best way to say it. And I, along with the board, am very, very proud to be a part of Lowell Light Power, and it has to do with the management and all the employees that make Light and Power a place where you want to come and work. And that's I can't think of one employee that is going, oh shoot, I got to go to work on Monday. I mean, they enjoy it. And I think that says a lot for the total from the board, from the general manager on down. One last thing doing this flipping back and forth, I got confused, and I'm sorry, Jim, I left you out. So you get the last word tonight.
The only week I really had something.
You really switched it.
And this is my ratepayer hat I'm wearing tonight, not city council. A lot of you know that I sit on the showboat board, and I run that board of 6 people that have 8 personalities. And when you deal with 6, 8 personalities, it's extremely difficult. Well, one of the things that the board wanted to do is break ties with the city internet and go with our own. They just felt it was it the right thing to do. I didn't argue with them too much, but in the process, I went to city, and the city told me, I can't help you very much, but maybe the guys over at Low Light Power could help you. So I reached out to Charlie, got a hold of Casey. Casey showed up last Tuesday, was it?
Yeah.
And he spent probably more time than he should have with KCF, whatever the name of that company is, KCM.
Oh, KHC.
Yeah, you guys used to use. So anyways, with the guideline, I wanted to make sure that we didn't mess up anything that was hooked to the city network or Low Light and Power. So my hat's off to Casey spending more time than he probably
Thank you, Casey.
should have.
That's our beloved show.
We got it converted. We do use the PAP through the city to get to the bulk, but at that time, that's what we do. But we now are on our own system, and so I thanks to Lowell for making that happen. So that's what I had.
And again, that just goes, we're a community and, that's why I love being on the board of Lowell Light and Power. Cause they make things happen, and they make things happen in a positive way. With that, I would entertain, the other is a reminder.
It's not 8 o'clock yet.
I know. Well, if I get done too, I probably should go back to a visitation. So, the audit questionnaire, it is that I think everybody's got a copy of that. It is important as a board member to, anything, there's questions on the back, and any concerns, anything that you want to. It is very important that we share that with the audit team. And it, again, I think it sets us apart from all the other utilities that they service, and it makes us be the premier utility that we want to be. And with
Bravo.
that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Just a second.